Hey guys, C here. Thank you so much for clicking to join me in today's video. Today we are going over my recent makes, everything that I've sewn over the course of the last month, as well as how much it cost me to make those items. Before we get into that, today my cardigan is Simplicity 9716. This fabric is from Hobby Lobby. I think it is still available. And then girly behind me is Simplicity 9010. I have touched base on both of these patterns in previous videos, but I've never touched base on the woven version of 9010. I've always mentioned the knit version. After I made the knit, I made this woven. I don't like the woven very much. It doesn't flow as well as the knit version, but that's neither here nor there. I will drop pictures of both for your reference. And let me get my sewing journal so I can go over all these makes. Now, the first make I do not have with me. It's in the wash because I have been wearing the heck out of it, and it is my last make of 2023. It is Simplicity 9701. This is a mini G pattern. I used a black scuba knit that I found in my stash. I think I have touched on that as well in a previous video. Everything will be linked down below. But I used a black scuba knit found in my stash. All I had to do was get some power mesh from Hobby Lobby is where I sourced that from. Now, this pattern is an easy to sew pattern. It was lovely to work with. It required no notions, which I truly appreciated. And this was the first time that I used a facing. I really did enjoy this make. Now, I wish I had it with me, but in the pictures and in the video that I'm going to insert into this clip, the shoulders are a little bit off. It's not noticeable to the unsuspecting eye, but for a sewist or a seamstress or a fashion designer, you may notice it. But it doesn't matter because, like I said, I've been wearing the heck out of it. As a matter of fact, I recently sourced some other fabric. I found some fabric on clearance at Joann's for 70% off. It is a stretch velvet. It's a light green, like a very subtle lime green. And I think it would be perfect for this pattern. So I plan on cutting that up very soon and making that. And I look forward to showing you guys. So that is my last make of 2023, but my first make that I'm sharing with you guys. The power mesh was $4.99. The pattern was $1.99 from a sale at Joann's. So overall, I paid about $7 for that outfit because the fabric was in my stash from years ago. So we're winning. $7. We're winning. Absolutely love that pattern as well. So if you haven't picked that up, definitely make sure that you do so. This is from, I want to say it's from 2023. Let's double check here. Yes, it is from last year. So definitely make sure that you pick that up. Great pattern. Looking forward to using that again. Now, let's get into 2024. And my first make of this year is Simplicity pattern 9644. I use this beautiful goldenrod mustard color knit. This is a textured knit. I picked up this knit from Hobby Lobby and I cut view A. You got a little peekaboo in the chest and it hits just below the knee. This was a wonderful sew. I enjoyed working with this pattern. Now, the only notions that you needed was a 22-inch invisible zipper. Let's touch on the zipper. I have mentioned the zipper in a previous video. I think the video that I referenced a lot of these pieces are my upcoming projects video, so I will link that down below so you can take a look at that. But inserting the zipper, this was my first time installing a zipper in over 6 years. So last year, I realized that none of the makes, none of the patterns that I've been working with required a zipper. So this is my first time using a zipper since my 6-year hiatus. It was not like riding a bike. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. And my zipper clearly reflects that I had no idea what I was doing because it is jacked up. But I'm still going to wear the heck out of this dress as I have been. I've worn it at least twice. Yes, I've worn it twice since I made it. And I'm not going to turn around so you can see the zipper because, you know, while I may be transparent, I'm not going to embarrass myself. So I did put the zipper in, and I left about, this is about 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches of space from where the zipper is supposed to be. Matter of fact, you know what the heck? Whatever. All right, so I put the zipper in, and I'm like, what in the world? Why do I have so much space left up at the top? And because it was almost the last step, I was like, I really don't want to take the zipper out and try to figure this out again. I really want to be done with this because I truly want to wear this dress. So I just said, the heck with it. And I just put a hook and eye, which I don't like doing hook and eyes. I now realize I don't like doing hook and eyes. Now, putting the hook and eye kept the collar from kind of buckling out. It kind of cinched it back on my neck. And with my hair down, you can't even tell that I butchered the zipper. Now, even at the bottom, it puckers a bit at the butt. But once again, for the untrained eye, you don't even suspect it. And like I said, I will wear this dress till the wheels fall off. Though that is the only issue that I had with this dress that was installing the zipper, and that is of no fault to the pattern or the material. That is literally me not remembering how to do invisible zippers. And that is one of my goals for this year, is to get back into working with zippers, because before my hiatus, I was working with them quite often. So I just got to get familiar with them again. But this dress, I love it. The pattern, I loved it. Now, let's get into the price breakdown of this garment. So the fabric was 40% off. I got it for $4.19 a yard at Hobby Lobby right after Thanksgiving. So I paid a total of $12.57 for the fabric, $1.99 for the pattern, and $3.10 for the zipper. That is a grand total of $17.66 for this dress, and I'm loving it. Awesome make. Now, the third make that I'm sharing, and the second make for 2024, is Simplicity 9679. This is a missus top with different variations across the collar as well as the sleeves. I cut view C, and I use a Carolina blue because I'm a Carolina girl. I used a Carolina blue, a soft knit from Hobby Lobby. This is a checkered pattern, of course. And I loved this pattern. It was my first one night sew. I've never been able to sew something. I've never been able to sew a garment in one night. So I'm really thrilled about that. The instructions were great. Of course, this is an easy to sew pattern. And it just worked out wonderfully. Now I have scrap from another project, and so I'm going to be making another version of this top. I'm going to be making version A with the cuffs. So those pieces are already cut. I haven't sewn it up yet, but I look forward to sharing that with you guys. Now let's get into the cost breakdown for this garment. Now the fabric was $10.49. It was on sale. So I paid a grand total of $10.49 for this fabric from Hobby Lobby. The thread was $1.99 and the pattern was $1.99. So I paid a grand total of $14.47 for this garment, and I'm happy with that. I love that. I look forward to wearing this quite often. I do think I'd be a little more confident wearing it if I serged it. I did do some zigzag stitches, but this is pretty thin. So when I go pull it on, I don't want to rip. I don't want to tear any seams or anything like that. But I love this top. I look forward to wearing it over and over and over again. Now, my fourth make and my third make for 2024 is McCall's 8019. This was supposed to be a jacket, a Sherpa jacket. I don't have it. It is the first fail of the year. As a matter of fact, I threw that thing in the trash and haven't really given it much thought since. I cut view A, which has two contrasting fabrics. I didn't pick up any contrasting fabrics. And so I don't know why I didn't just cut view B, because that is the only difference between view A and B. It's just the contrasting fabrics. So when I cut those fabric pieces, I think I cut them backwards. I cut them incorrectly because I was having a hard time attaching the front yoke to the collar. The pieces weren't lining up. So I had some scrap. I recut the pieces and I think I cut them correctly, but by the time I went to attach them to what part of the jacket I had, it just wasn't lining up, and I couldn't take the stitches out and resew them because the fabric was so thick I couldn't see the stitches. I was getting very frustrated. And the faux fur was making a huge mess. It was everywhere. I was sitting sewing, it's just flying across my face, it's in my mouth, it was all in my hair. My clothes were covered in lime green faux fur. It just, even though I cut the pile on the seam allowance, it was still getting everywhere and nothing was lining up. I was getting so frustrated. I basically said, F it, threw it in the trash and went to bed. And the next night I cleaned up all of that faux fur with a haste, and I just haven't looked back. I'm disappointed, but I think I know what went wrong. I really wanted to make this piece. So ironically, I found some clearance fabric at Hobby Lobby. And so that is what I'm going to use to retry again. So here is the, look at that. Look, it's still floating around here. It was everywhere. So I found this Sherpa. This Sherpa was on sale for $4 a yard. They didn't have, I needed 2 1/8 yards of fabric. They only had 1 7/8. I went ahead and scooped it up anyway to see what I can make out of it. And I would rather lose the $7 that I've invested into that as opposed to the $30-some that I invested into the lime green faux fur. So let's get into the cost breakdown of that garment. So the fabric was on sale, but I still ended up spending $20.39 for the fabric, $3.63 for the thread, because I did go with a lime green Guterman's that had, I don't know if it was 350 yards. It was on sale, but I did get a big spool of the lime green thread. The zipper was $3.71. I invested into a color contrasting separating zipper that I will probably never use again. That was $3.71. And then the elastic was $5.26 when I came home and realized that I already had 1-inch elastic. So I invested a grand total of $34.98, and I didn't even purchase lining fabric. I couldn't find lining fabric, not a color that I wanted. So even without buying the lining, I still managed to spend $35 on that garment, and it was a total waste because I didn't even have any scrap. I didn't scrap it. I couldn't imagine what I would use that lime green faux fur for. And like I said, it was really messy. And I did a shed test in the store, as well as trimming down the seam allowance when I got ready to sew, and it was still all over the place. It's still floating. So that was a fail. I'll learn. I'll try again next time. I'll try again with that brown checkered Sherpa, maybe before spring ends, so that I have maybe a couple times that I could still wear it. But as of right now, it is far, far behind me, and screw that faux fur. Next. Now, after the lime green debacle, I did manage to redeem myself, and I made McCall's 8174, and I made View B. That is the maxi with the slit across the legs, spaghetti straps. No idea where I'm wearing it to, but I use a pink slinky fabric that I purchased from Hobby Lobby, and she is beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait to wear her wherever I'm going. I don't know if I have to plan a brunch or something, but when the weather breaks, honey, shoulders and legs are going to be out. There were a couple firsts for this pattern. The first of which is that I understitch. You don't know how many patterns I've seen that said you need to understitch. I didn't know what that was. I just skipped it. This time around, because I said that I wanted to focus on quality and not quantity this year, I really want to boost my skills. I actually looked up understitching. And I did it. And it went really, really well, exceptionally well. Now, I was also supposed to attach lining to this garment. And while I was shopping for this fabric, I purposely didn't get lining because I was like, yeah, I don't need that. But as I was making it, I went back to my mantra of quality over quantity this year. And so I had some scrap that I just used the same fabric as a liner. And it worked out really good. It works out really good. Now, I do struggle with the front or back. So I do need to get some labels so I know what is the front and back of my garment. But attaching the lining, doing the understitching, it worked out really, really great. Now, the only thing is I always struggle with sizing when it comes to the patterns. I can never tell if I need to do a 10, a 12, or a 14, right? I'm always just guessing. I did cut a 10 in this, and it was just a hair tight. Now, I am 10 weeks postpartum, so that might be some weight that I lose in my midsection over time, or I might just have to flush it out with some water. It was just a hair too tight, but not so much that I won't wear it. Now, this is an average pattern, so it wasn't easy to sew, so I wasn't sure how it would go. I'm so happy that I went ahead and took the risk. I love the make. I love the pattern. I will definitely use the pattern again. Highly recommend it. Let's get into the cost breakdown. The fabric was on sale, but I still managed to spend $20.23 on the fabric at Hobby Lobby. Once again, this is a pink slinky knit. The thread was $1.99 because I did not own this color. The pattern was $1.99 from a Joann sale. I already owned elastic because I checked notions before I started sewing. And so I spent a grand total of $24.21 for this little razzle dazzle. I will take it, and I'm very happy about that. I'm winning when it comes to the price, except with that lime green faux fur nonsense. I think that garment is honestly gonna haunt me. Anyway, that's that one. Oh, before I move on to the next, now I cut my pattern pieces backwards. There was one piece that I cut backwards. It was a large piece. It was one of the skirt pieces. I did have to go back to the fabric store and pick up about 40 inches or so. It was the end of the bolt, so I got very lucky with that. I just took what was left of the bolt. It might have been a yard and a half or so, a yard and 20 inches, something like that. And so I used the scrap from that as well as the scrap from what I already had, and I cut pieces for simplicity $96.79. Remember I said that I had some scrap and I was using it for view A. I had plenty to go ahead and cut those pieces. I can't wait to start sewing that up. And my very last make that I'm sharing with you is McCall's 7847. This is a faux fur coat or jacket, however you may classify it. The pattern calls it a coat. And this is a lined coat with different length variations. And so I touched on this pattern in a previous video because I didn't know what I wanted to pair my pink dress with, right? I knew that I wanted to wear it. Maybe I could get away with wearing it in the winter. I can't. It's way too thin. It's way too thin. I cannot. So, but still, I cut the coat anyway because I stumbled across clearance fabric at Joann's for 70% off. And so I found this faux fur, which is not a nightmare like that lime green nonsense, okay? It passed the shed test in the store. I have been wearing it a couple times. It does not shed terribly. This is a great coat, and I feel like it honestly looks store-bought. It really does. I know that I'm biased, but it looks store-bought. It wears like a dream. It feels amazing. It is very insulating, of course, because of the faux fur, but this is a darn good coat. And it was my first time installing a lining in a coat. The pink dress was my first time installing a lining, period. The black dress, the Mimi G pattern, was my first time installing a facing. Look, we're winning right now, okay? We are busting these goals. We are boosting these skills. So this is my first time installing a lining in a coat, second time doing a lining in general, and it went surprisingly well. It went in honestly, at towards the end of the instructions, I didn't even know what I was doing. I'm just doing something, right? And I go to flip the coat right side out, and I'm like, oh my God, I just made a coat. And it looks phenomenal, right? It just looks phenomenal. This was also my first time doing a notch collar, and that came out really good too. So I love this. It's McCall 7847. It is one of those patterns designed for beginners. I may not be a beginner, but hey, it's my comfort level. And it worked out wonderfully. Now the pattern did say 2 1-inch snaps that I did buy, but I didn't use them. When I went to go put the coat on, I was like, I don't really need it, even though I was just anxious to go ahead and wear it, and I didn't want to do any more steps. That's neither here nor there. But I have the snaps just in case I change my mind. I don't think so, because I never wear my coats buttoned up, but who knows? So let's get into the cost breakdown. The fabric was 70% off at Joann's, so I only paid $12.04 for the fabric. The snaps were $3.23, didn't use them. The pattern was $1.99, Joann's sale. And the thread was $2.79 because I did not own this off-white or beige color. I spent a grand total of $20.05. Now you may be wondering, how much did the lining cost? The lining was scrap from another project. So I'm gonna say, hey, it's free $99, right? So $20 for this coat. I'm winning. 2024 is definitely my year. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. So you guys, those were all of my makes. I hope that you enjoyed them. I hope that you're inspired to get some of these patterns or check out your local fabric store. See what off-season fabrics are now on clearance or on sale. If you enjoy this content, definitely give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe for more recent make videos, as well as pattern hauls, some sew-alongs, maybe a little sewing vlogs. Who knows? We got a lot going on here, and I would love for you to join us. As always, I love you for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.